So you guys want to get into wholesaling on Amazon, but you're not sure how to. Well, I'm going to show you how to make your first $1,000 wholesaling on Amazon, whether that's drop shipping or sending things in FBA. This is a step-by-step tutorial, so you don't want to miss it.
Welcome to the Roughnecks. I'm Rico, your e-com instructor. I'm a software engineer, a military veteran, and a six-figure e-com seller. I've helped over 400 students on Amazon alone, and thousands more make money online. If you need to know anything about making money, you're gonna find it out right here.
Yo, so what's up guys? Welcome back to the Roughnecks Ecom channel. I am 𝗙𝗥𝗘𝗘, aka Rico, and I will be your instructor here. We talk about all manners of making money, whether that's online or offline. So if that sounds good to you, make sure you subscribe and click the little notification bell so you can get hit up with all the latest and greatest. Also get into the free Facebook group below. Now, let's go ahead. Let's talk about what we are here to do today. Now, you guys obviously know that retail arbitrage is a pretty big deal, whether that's on Amazon or eBay. I say keep that mess on eBay because that is a platform for it. But some of you just really cannot get that through, get into your head. So we are going to talk about how if you must sell branded products, then make sure you do it the proper way, which would be through wholesaling, right? So the reason why you would get into wholesaling versus retail arbitrage, or online arbitrage as most people call it, is profit margins, okay? So why would you want, like a 5% profit margin when you can have a 40% profit margin? Makes absolutely no sense, right? But that's what people do because they don't want to take the time to do things properly. Now, granted, getting into wholesaling does take a little bit more time before you're able to sell, before you're able to make any money at all, okay? I'm not saying that it's going to be the path of least resistance. Matter of fact, it's probably the path of the most resistance, but you will definitely make the most amount of money outside of, private label FBA or private label dropshipping. Wholesaling is a great way to get started and make your first $1,000. If you were struggling with private label, doesn't matter whether that's dropshipping or FBA, wholesaling can make you $1,000 very quickly. And I'm gonna show you why. And I'm gonna show you how exactly to get into it, how you're gonna get ungated if you are gated in certain categories, and what you need to look for when you are finding a good wholesale supplier, okay? So we are gonna go ahead and jump right into the Roughnecks computer so we can break this down. But before I do, make sure you guys stick around for all of this because somewhere inside this video, there will be a secret code. And whoever enters that code below will get a $25 gift card to Amazon. So let's go, let's get to it, stick around.
So let's go ahead, let's jump into getting into Amazon wholesale dropshipping or FBA. Now, depending on which suppliers you use, you may have to go the FBA route, or you could be lucky enough to go the dropship route. It's really just going to vary with who you use and what you're trying to sell. Now, if you guys are trying to get into things like these and do it the right way, because a lot of people, sell these retail arbitrage style and then make all their money on the back end, they're trying to dropship from Walmart and all these other places. That's not the way to do it, okay? You guys just cannot compete on prices with these, all right? You're just not. Like, you can go to Walmart all day, but you're just not going to be able to get them cheap enough to make a dent. So the only way to get them cheap enough is to set up wholesale accounts, right? Where you can come in and actually make a little money, because more often than not, if you're buying these at retail at any store, you're actually paying more to pick these up. Like, you go to Walmart, chances are you're probably paying $10.99 for this one, if not more, okay? So what do you need to wholesale on Amazon? All right, first off, you will need an LLC. Okay, it doesn't matter. You don't really have a choice. You have to get an LLC because most good wholesalers are not going to work with you unless you have an LLC. All right, so the Inc. now incorporates out of Delaware. You can use LegalZoom, doesn't matter. We just incorporate out of Delaware because there's no sales tax, so we don't have to get the other thing. Now, they can also help you get your EIN and all that stuff, but you don't necessarily have to go through them because you can actually apply for your EIN yourself. You just have to know what you're doing. You can go to irs.gov, go over here to the EIN assistant, and get your EIN on your own. But I don't recommend it if you don't know what you're doing. You can just have them do it. I think the fee is like $90 or something like that, $99 or somewhere in here, when you go through the process. But you can have them file your EIN, and there you go. So you get your LLC, your EIN, all that good jazz. And then in order to wholesale, now if you are in Delaware, if you're incorporated out of Delaware, you do not need a sales tax certificate or a a reseller's permit. There's a ton of different names for them. You know, like a reseller permit, or sales tax vendor ID, sales tax registration, reseller tax ID, all that stuff. It's all the same thing. Okay, now if you're incorporated out of a different state, as long as that state requires sales tax, you will need to get a sales tax ID or reseller's permit, because you're going to be buying at wholesale and you will not be paying tax. You'll be passing the tax on to the customer when they purchase. So you will need to get a reseller's permit depending on where you're going to do business. Also, if you're going to be doing FBA, you will need a reseller permit wherever that product is going to be stored. So if the warehouse is in Texas, you'll need a Texas permit, and so on and so forth. Okay. Now, when you create your Amazon sellers account, you may be gated in certain categories. Like you'll be gated in automotive, so you'll need to get ungated. Right? So in order to get ungated in automotive, you will need a website of some sorts. Now this is, you know, my website. It is not the greatest, but it gets the job done. And it is how we got ungated very, very quickly, because we are an established company. There was nothing that needed to be said. They were like, oh, okay, you guys do business, blah, 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 so on and so forth. Send them some more documents and we're good to go. For you guys, you'll have to create your own website or have a physical presence or something along those lines. In other categories, you may need a website, but you also might need certain safety, what is it, the MSDS or MSD, something like that, the material data safety sheet, you know, so you might, the MDSS, so you might need that if you're like getting into beauty and stuff, you know, in the beauty category, you might need that for any products that you're going to be selling, like makeup, any type of chemicals, you know, those types of things, batteries, so on and so forth. So you may also need that, but that's neither here nor there. Now, what suppliers are you going to get into, and how do you work with them? Now, suppliers like BBCW do not require you to have pre-existing contracts with other suppliers, but some do. Okay, so you have to remember that not everyone is going to be as generous as companies like BBCW. BBCW, you can get a lot of toys from. This is actually where we come to get a bunch of our like action figures and stuff, because they're all authentic and we get them at wholesale pricing. You can also use the order fulfillment service where they ship them directly to customers, so you don't have to do that. We do a lot of FBA through these guys though, so there is that. Also, be mindful that even though they are a good wholesale supplier, sometimes you will still need to get a wholesale agreement with another brand. Like there's so many different brands within Hasbro, like Lego and everything else. You may have to get ungated for those particular products, so you have to get agreements through that actual manufacturer. So keep that in mind. There's others like EE Distribution, same thing, toys, all types of stuff. Now, let's say that you get a wholesale agreement with one of these guys. They require a little bit more, right? They say, like Amazon requires more. They're like, oh, you can't sell in this brand because you're gated. Okay, in order to get ungated with that particular brand, even if you're ungated in that category, you're going to have to set up a wholesale account with that particular brand. So let's say Funko, for instance, you'll have to come to Funko to become a reseller. So even though you'll be ungated in like toys and games, there are some products like Funko Pops that you may not be able to sell because you're still gated. So you'll have to get an agreement with Funko, and then you have to place an order. So you have, at this point, you might as well place an FBA order with them just to get them shipped directly to Amazon, make it easy on yourself, and you don't have to worry about it and stress. It's just much easier because you're gonna be getting these items for cheap, right? So if you can't afford to place an order, you probably shouldn't be trying to go FBA or any of that stuff anyway. Okay, now in other cases like Turn 14, you actually have to do what's called a buy-in, right? And it's not, sometimes you can buy the products or whatever, but you have to buy in to prove that you're a worthy dealer for them. They're not going to do business with you unless you were 100% legit, you have a website, and so on and so forth. And some wholesalers will require that. Some distributors will do that. They'll be like, hey, look, do you have a physical storefront? Do you have a strong online presence? If you do, you have to do a buy-in. If you want to do business with them, you will definitely have to buy in. And there are some companies that are worth the buy-in. Turn 14 is one of them. And if I had to go back and do a buy-in every single month, I definitely would, because they have the best prices. the best quality. They ship so quick. You know, I mean, you can use them for your order fulfillment. It's fantastic. Okay, so finding good wholesale suppliers can be the difference between your business succeeding and failing. Remember that, guys. You need to do your due diligence when you are getting into this. Now, let's go ahead and break down some of the numbers, because I know you guys are like, oh, well, is it even worth getting into wholesaling? You know, how much money can be made? All this stuff. So let's go ahead. Let's bring up, let's bring up some of the estimated revenue. So, you know, like this pop, this is the 𝗙𝗏𝗄𝗏, $40,000, 62 reviews. This is a lot, guys. This is a lot of money done. Okay, if you see here, there's mad revenue, tons of sales for all these pops. You know, hundreds, thousands of sales for these Funko Pops. If you think that you can't come in and get just even a little bit of this, like, you are sadly mistaken. Now, granted, you're going to need to find the pops that you can get at a very cheap price through a good reseller. I do recommend, if you're going to get into wholesaling from, Funko Pops, you definitely go directly to Funko, because you can get the best pricing from them. But that goes without saying. So yeah, guys, like, look, you know, you can definitely break into this. You know, you just have to make sure you have everything set. The sales are absolutely insane. And even though you're going to be sharing the buy box, more often than not, you have an opportunity to make money no matter what, because most people aren't caring. They go, get a whole lot of FBA items, and then they let them sit there because they know that these sell. Even if you get a couple hundred and just let them sit there, of 𝗙𝗏𝗄𝗏, look, guys, 4,500, 4,500 sales a month. It's not going to be that hard for you to move your product. Not unless you get them at a crappy price. Like if you go buy them at full retail price and then try to sell them for way more, like obviously that's stupid. That's why you have to get into wholesaling, because in order to compete with these prices, you have to be in a wholesaling. It's the same thing with anything, guys. Like even if you were selling barbecue grills or something like that, getting them at retail just isn't going to work. You need to get them at wholesale. Okay, you got to get those types of items at wholesale if you're going to be competing with other sellers on the buy box. You're going to be competing on price mainly. So how are you going to beat them out on price? You're going to beat them out on price by getting wholesale instead of buying retail, because buying retail, you can't really compete on price unless you want to lose money. Buying wholesale, you can compete with price and, adjust accordingly. Okay, so let's recap. If you guys are trying to get into this space, so if you're not going to be private labeling or doing retail arbitrage, which I do not recommend on Amazon anyway, retail arbitrage is more of an eBay thing, and that's where you should keep it. If you're going to be selling, Funko Pops or toys or anything, barbecue grills, car parts, all whatever, you are going to need to set yourselves up properly to get with wholesale distributors, and that's getting yourself an LLC. All right, this company does it here. They handle all of our business setups, all of them, LLC and EINs. Okay, you can apply for your EIN right here on the IRS website. You don't necessarily, need to use anyone like InkNow or LegalZoom. You can do the EIN part all on your own. You can also get your LLC all on your own through your state's website. We just do this because it's much easier. And it saves us a lot of time. And at this stage, we have the money to do so, and we can just create new businesses whenever we feel like it. But you guys can go through the EIN process here. You'll need a resale certificate, or sales tax ID number, whatever you want to call it. You'll need that for the state that you're incorporated out of, unless you're in a state that doesn't have tax, kind of like Delaware. Now, if you guys are going the FBA route, you'll need a resale certificate for wherever those FBA items are going to be located, whether that be in like Texas or somewhere else, doesn't necessarily matter. You will need one for there, just for tax purposes. And when you first get on Amazon, you'll be gated in certain categories. Automotive is one of them. You'll need a website. This is ours, and it does very well, even though it's archaic. We built the brand, so it sells on its own. It works out great. But at any rate, to get ungated in certain categories, you'll need to present the material data safety sheet for you know, for certain products, like if you're doing any ingestibles or like batteries or stuff that you put on your face, you know, you might need those, that documentation, so that way Amazon can engage you and be like, all right, this person isn't trying to, you know, burn somebody's face off with acid or something. You know, but like I said, in other cases, you'll need a website or, you know, like a storefront, something along those lines to kind of speed the process up so you can get ungated. You'll also need to set up accounts with good wholesalers. BBCW is one of them. They don't require you to have standing with another one. So some suppliers will require you to have contracts with others before they'll do business with you. BBCW is not one of them. This is, you know, like toys, things like this. Same thing with EE. You'll be just fine. If you're going to be selling things like Funko Pops or whatever, you might want to come to the source, because even though you'll be ungated in categories like toys and games, you might still be gated for Funko Pops. So, you know, you'll have to go to Funko, get a, you know, become a reseller for them, or Hasbro, Mattel, whatever. Even though, like I said, you'll be ungated in that niche, you will still be gated for that particular brand. So kind of sucks. Then there's other suppliers that will require you to have a buy-in, kind of like Turn 14. They're automotive supplier, but they have some of the best pricing I've ever seen. Their customer service is fantastic. They are very, very, very quick with their shipping. I mean, they are absolutely wonderful to work with. I would, like I said, I would buy in with them a million times over. Okay, so finding a good wholesaler for your particular niche is going to make all the difference with your business. So remember that. Finding a good wholesaler can make or break your business. So don't try to cheap out. Don't try to skimp out. Don't try to cut corners. If you're really going to take, you know, getting an Amazon wholesaling serious, then this is what you need to do. And this is a very easy way to make your first $1,000. As you guys saw right here, you know, there's so much money being made with these items. Like, all you need to do is just get a good wholesale account and go to town. Just send these in for FBA. Like, it makes absolutely no sense why you wouldn't. Look at the reviews. They're real low, and there's tons of revenue because the brand name sells itself. That's why you get into wholesaling. So that way you don't have to create a brand. I mean, obviously we still, you know, private label, but, you know, we do a lot of wholesaling just because the brand name sells. Don't reinvent the wheel. If you can't break into FBA or private label FBA, then start sending these types of items in FBA. Get set up as a good, you know, wholesaler and go to town as a reseller. All right. So hopefully this has been informative. As always, if you guys have any questions, make sure you drop them into the comments below. You know, I try to answer every single question. It doesn't matter. Try not to be ridiculous. And yeah, so with that being said, guys, be safe, be smart, make sure you get into the free Facebook group below. Everything is in the description, ebook, all that good jazz. So I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.